Greetings, most gracious audience. I am Sir Persevere, Knight of the Hand-Drawn Realm. Today I shall conclude my ongoing review of Masters of the Universe Revelation Part 2. As you may recall from the previous video, we saw the death of heaven itself. I know. I'm still processing that like the rest of you. Oh, and we saw Beastman turn into a shaggy dog creature. We also saw Skeletor team up with Prince Adam in order to try and stop the Cosmic Freight Train. Without further ado, let us now venture forth and put ourselves out of our misery in reviewing this show. It is my hope that you get some chuckles along the way. At any rate, here goes nothing. Episode 5 is titled, Comes With Everything You See Here. It starts off with Teela Wannabe standing in the pool. Words of affirmation go through her head, from Adam, Men-at-Arms, etc. She takes a breath and dives into the water. She sees that she is floating above some kind of colorful cosmic blob at the bottom of the pool. The cosmic blob reaches out a tendril toward her. When she touches it, she sees the same vision of the ram, snake, and bird that the Cosmic Freight Train saw. Once the vision fades away, more tendrils come out of the cosmic blob and reach for her. She looks above at the water, then looks below at the tendrils. Then she says, "I'm ready." Wait. What? Teela Wannabe is in the water! Her hair is even floating around with the motions of being underwater. How on earth is she able to talk without bubbles coming out of her mouth? For the matter of that, is she breathing while talking? If so, how is she drowning underwater? Anyway, the scene switches over to outside Castle Grayskull. The battle ensues between Eternia and Subternia. King Randor finds himself surrounded by demons. Marlena shoots down a King Kong demon with her ship before it can smash Randor. It doesn't take long before Randor confronts Scareglow, who catches Randor's sword with his hand. Scareglow comments that a King's fear tastes best of all as he melts the weapon. We see fear indeed on Randor's face. And at this part I'm thinking to myself, oh boy, Randor's going to die for sure. We go back inside Castle Grayskull. The Cosmic Freight Train has gone back to allowing debris to fly around her. She throws that debris at Adam and Skeletor. Some of the debris accidentally hits Shaggy Dog Beastman. The pain from the debris causes Shaggy Dog Beastman to loosen his grip on Cringer. Cringer takes this opportunity to bite his enemy's paw and escape. Within seconds of escape, however, Cringer, along with Adam and Skeletor, find themselves trapped between the Cosmic Freight Train and her number one simp. The Cosmic Freight Train prepares to kill Adam with her magic. Just as Randor and Adam seem to be about to die, Orko appears. He appears on the battlefield alongside Randor to save him from Scareglow. He appears alongside Adam to save him from the Cosmic Freight Train. He even appears in the sewage system before Men-at-Arms and Audra the Science Woman, all at the same time. What did Orko do? Run over to Calvin and borrow his cardboard box duplicator?
Nice duplicator, Calvin. Mind if I borrow that?
Anyway, Orko explains to the Cosmic Freight Train that when she raised Subternia from the dead, she raised him too. And that was how he was able to show up so conveniently in 3 places at once to save everyone important to the plot of the story. A side note here is rather important. Given that Orko was in Subternia when he died, it does make sense for him to show up now based on the logic of the story. However, do you know which 2 characters should have also shown up but, spoilers, don't show up? 2 characters who were also thrown into Subternia and should have shown up at the final battle fighting alongside Randor? That's right, I'm talking about Clampchip and Fisto. I'll spoil it for you right now. Clampchip and Fisto, after having been sent into Subternia by Skeletor, never make it back into Eternia when Orko does. Why does Orko get to go back to Eternia but not Clampchip and Fisto? Don't know. Anyway, we go to the Orko who is with Men-at-Arms and Audra the Science Woman. He opens a passage in the dungeon for the two of them. He tells them it will take them to safety. That Orko disappears from sight. We go to the Orko who saved King Randor. This Orko enters a rematch with Scareglow, who shows fear on his skull face. We go back to the Orko inside Castle Grayskull. Orko tries to reason with the Cosmic Freight Train. He tells her she wasn't always evil before engaging in a duel with her. In the meantime, Adam, Skeletor, and Cringer continue backing away from the massive Shaggy Dog Beastman. Orko sees Adam in trouble and breaks away from the Cosmic Freight Train to try to save his friends. The Cosmic Freight Train teleports herself so that she is blocking Orko's way. This does not stop Orko from blasting the Cosmic Freight Train directly into her #1 simp. In the process of so doing, Orko takes the sword away from the Cosmic Freight Train and returns it to its rightful owner, Prince Adam. Prince Adam calls upon the power to become He-Man. The Orko in Castle Grayskull disappears as Prince Adam's transformation continues. That leaves only one Orko left, the one duking it out with Scareglow. They both pause in their fight to see the energy beam transforming Prince Adam. Orko gloats and declares that the bad guys are in trouble now. We go back inside Castle Grayskull. He-Man, still covered in the transformation energy beam, directs his sword at both Cringer and Skeletor. When the transformation is complete, we see He-Man and Battle-Cat. Even Skeletor has been powered up. Skeletor, as clueless as the rest of us, asks why he too was transformed into his powered-up state. He-Man replies that he wants Skeletor to know what it feels like to save the universe. I mean, I kind of get the logic, He-Man, but you really shouldn't have powered up Skeletor. He's not going to get that same satisfaction as you do. Anyway, He-Man, Battle-Cat, and Skeletor begin a powerful brawl between the Cosmic Freight Train and her Shaggy Dog Beastman. Anyway, Men-at-Arms and Audra the Science Woman emerge from the main gate to see the battle. They look at the battle raging before them. They duck for cover behind a downed jet. Men-at-Arms spies Randor, who is fighting alone and armed with only a pistol now. Duncan then gives Audra the Science Woman his arm-mounted blaster. He then grabs a nearby scepter and leaves her behind in order to help the king. We go back to Tila Wannabe, who is audibly gasping underwater and miraculously not drowning while being entangled in a bunch of blobby cosmic tendrils. She sees another vision. This time, it's just a rehash of the first flashback from the beginning of Part 2. Tila Wannabe then snaps away from the tendrils. The ghost of the sorceress appears again. She tells Tila Wannabe that she hoped that by letting Tila Wannabe go, she'd make her life easier. She goes on to assure her that in order to fully become the new sorceress, Tila Wannabe will have to make the same decision and let everyone go. At this point, I could go and pop in another movie reference with Yoda telling Anakin in Revenge of the Sith to train himself to let go of everything he fears to lose. To some extent, I heavily criticize this philosophy shared by Yoda and the sorceress. Humans are created to have love and attachments. That said, there is a lot of truth to the idea of letting things go, and it comes from the central theme of creation itself, to be willing to love God and be attached to Him above all else. Jesus reminds us that if we are to be worthy of heaven, we have to let go of earthly attachments and embrace the heavenly attachments. This does not mean letting go of our love for others on earth. On the contrary, by embracing attachments with God on the supreme level, we actually have the power to form even stronger attachments with our fellow man on earth. But that also means that by having this attachment with God, we will be ready to let go of earthly attachments when our inevitable death comes upon us. Anyway, back to the review. After the sorceress tells Tila Wannabe that she has to become detached from everyone in order to become the new sorceress, Tila Wannabe goes into a speech that I somewhat like. She says that her strength comes from the attachments that she has with her friends. Again, I will interject and say that true strength comes from the Creator above, but it is also true that scriptures say that friends do sharpen each other, which I suppose implies some degree of strength. Of course, the caveat here is that you need to choose the right friends in order to get that kind of sharpening strength. Anyway, I think what Tila Wannabe is saying is that even though she will become the new sorceress of Grayskull, she will take the power of the strength her friends give her and use that as the basis of becoming the new sorceress. She will not take the power of Grayskull. After Tila Wannabe gives this speech, she hugs her mother's Force ghost, which promptly disappears shortly thereafter. The cosmic blob reaches up to Tila Wannabe again and wraps her in energy. We go back to King Randor and Men-at-Arms fighting back to back. Another King Kong demon prepares to smash Randor, but gets sliced in half by an energy beam. Wouldn't you know, it's Audra the Science Woman to the rescue. She takes down several demons using Men-at-Arms' blaster. She then slices through a bunch of surrounding demons with twin lasers as she twirls around. As they get chopped down, I wonder how other nearby allies didn't also get cut down. How convenient. Anyway, King Randor and Men-at-Arms stare in amazement at Audra the Science Woman. Yes, because woke women always get the admiration of the men. Look at me. I'm Andra. I'm like totally the bestest fighter ever. I could cut through all these demons with powerful lasers without accidentally cutting down my nearby friends. Whatever. We go to Orko, who is still fighting Scareglow. It's not much of a fight, and Orko winds up trapping Scareglow in a bubble. Scareglow is flung away and winds up unconscious on the ground. King Randor and his friends look at Orko, who states he probably should have done his bubble trick sooner. We go to Battlecat, who is fighting Shaggy Dog Beastman. They are fighting in the lobby of Castle Grayskull. They end up on the drawbridge. Shaggy Dog Beastman then pins Battlecat over the side of the bridge. Then, with a kick of his legs, Battlecat kicks Shaggy Dog Beastman off and sends him falling into the cavern below. Most likely, Shaggy Dog Beastman dies, as I don't think we see him after this. But who knows? Maybe he survives and is plotting revenge on Cringer. Battlecat looks over the side before running off into the battle. Meanwhile, Skeletor and He-Man continue fighting the Cosmic Freight Train. Suddenly, the Star Chamber orb begins to glow ominously red. Ooh, red glow! How scary! For once, can't something glow blue when something bad is about to happen in a movie? Anyway, the Cosmic Freight Train uses this moment of distraction to push back He-Man and Skeletor. She floats up to the red orb and explains that Eternia is now in the center of the universe. A big beam shoots out of the orb and envelops her. Skeletor understandably questions why this is happening. After all, He-Man's sword is now back with its rightful owner. The Cosmic Freight Train explains that they took back the sword too late. Now she has all the power she wants because of that red power shower she just received. She demonstrates her power by using magic to rip the roof off of Castle Grayskull. The stars glow behind her head as the Cosmic Freight Train prepares to pull a Thanos and destroy the universe with a snap of her fingers. Before she can pull this stunt, however, some ethereal energy flows into the room, catching all three combatants off guard. The ethereal energy congeals to reveal Tila. At this point, you may ask yourselves, wait a minute, Sir Persevere didn't say Tila Wannabe. Why didn't Sir Persevere go all the way and say Tila Wannabe? Fair question. First of all, Tila Wannabe is now dead. The cosmic blob, when it reached up with its tendrils and surrounded her, killed that woke abomination. What was reborn in the place of Tila Wannabe is our own Tila, complete with sorceress upgrades. Just look at our Tila. See how her hair is no longer a butch-cut woke mess? In fact, it's quite long and lovely. And just look at her midsection. She's no longer molded in the fashion of a man when it comes to her chest. She's quite feminine again. And beautiful, I might add. Does this forgive the ridiculousness that came before? Does this forgive Adam being impaled and being cut down to size? Does this forgive the fact that Teela turned into a whiny, entitled Teela wannabe? Does this forgive that farcical decision to let a mortal destroy heaven? Does this forgive the rocky marriage between Randor and Marlena? Or even Beastman being a total simp for Evil Lyn? Admittedly, it does not, and we still have a woke cosmic freight train to catch. But I can appreciate the resurrection of the true Teela as an isolated moment. So, shall we get back to the review? Teela turns to He-Man and tells him to keep everyone safe. The cosmic freight train flies outside the castle, knowing that the new sorceress has to stay in the castle. Teela, powered by the strength of her friends and not Grayskull, is able to follow the cosmic freight train and gives her a knuckle sandwich. A catfight ensues in the sky, a catfight that creates auroras above the battlefield. We go back to He-Man, who is watching the fight from inside the castle. Skeletor uses He-Man's distraction to sneak up on him. However, He-Man quickly whirls around and blocks Skeletor's blow before he can be struck. He-Man asks what Skeletor is doing, to which Skeletor replies that Teela is going to lose the battle against the cosmic freight train. In fact, the universe will be destroyed, but Skeletor himself will have his satisfaction of killing He-Man before that happens. And with that, they start dueling. Queen Marlena flies directly over the castle in her jet fighter. She drops a bomb into the castle. The bomb lands between He-Man and Skeletor. The force of the landing sends Skeletor against a wall. It is revealed that the bomb was actually Ram Man. I must say I really like his design. After not seeing him since He-Man 2002, he's certainly a sight for sore eyes. Ram Man tosses He-Man a hover disc. Then, with spring-loaded legs, Ram Man bounces away. Wait, like seriously? That's it? Ram Man is dropped in, tosses a hover disc to He-Man, and bounces away? I thought his mom deployed him to help He-Man fight Skeletor. Kind of an extravagant waste to drop in a weapon like that just to toss He-Man a hover disc. Whatever you say, Kevin Smith, I guess. As Skeletor rises to his feet, He-Man jumps away and follows Ram Man. I'm sure that unfinished fight with Skeletor isn't going to come back to haunt our hero. Anyway, Ram Man lands in the midst of battle, and that's the last we see of him. He-Man pulls out the hover disc and flies away on it. We go back to Teela, who apparently teleported with the cosmic freight train to another pool of water. They fall into the water. With the use of magic, they push the water away from themselves as they fight on the floor of the pool. It is at this point where Teela tries to talk down the cosmic freight train. The cosmic freight train is not so easily talked out of her schemes. They push each other away before they both take to the skies again. The cosmic freight train fires lightning at Teela. Teela materializes a staff and keeps pursuing her. The cosmic freight train fires another barrage of lightning. Teela blocks it with her staff and draws closer. Yeah, I'm sure we haven't seen something like this before. Anyway, the cosmic freight train stops shooting lightning and flies away from Teela, thus prolonging the chase. We go back to He-Man. He cuts down winged demons while flying on his hover disc. Suddenly, the demon dragon appears and swats He-Man away. He-Man falls on his mother's fighter jet. In a sweet bit of bantering, He-Man asks his mother to drop him off at the ground assault, to which the Queen replies to just be home in time for dinner. He-Man then jumps off the jet and lands before the citizens of Eternia. He tells the nearby citizens to follow him, as directly behind him will be the only safe place. He-Man then slashes his way through demons, sending their bodies flying everywhere. There are several sweet shots of him continuing to slash the hordes of darkness down to size. Battle Cat joins him in the fight. Then, with He-Man on his back, Battle Cat charges through the battle. In short order, He-Man and Battle Cat are confronted by the Demon Dragon again. The dragon launches a mighty firebomb at them. Battle Cat and He-Man vault themselves over the fire and hurl toward the dragon with a mighty leap. This shot right here. I can respect the coolness factor of this shot. Just take it in for a minute. Sure, I'd prefer the dragon to look more like my friend Ray John, but I can respect the muscles, sinews, wings, and firepower of this mighty beast. Sadly, we don't get to see He-Man actually inflict the death wounds on the dragon. We just get this slashing animation screen. It would have been nice to see He-Man actually thrust his sword through the dragon's throat or something. Oh well. The slashing screen goes away, and He-Man and Battle Cat land before Randor's soldiers. He-Man cries for Eternia as the dragon falls in the background. Once the dragon's body lands, it explodes in an atomic blaze of glory. Every person nearby cheers at the death of the dragon. The celebration is interrupted when Skeletor arrives through a wormhole. He-Man turns around and looks at the skull-faced villain. Skeletor informs He-Man that he is not going to be ignored. We go back to the fight between Teela and the Cosmic Freight Train. Teela uses her magic to transform her staff into a sword. As the Cosmic Freight Train blocks Teela's sword with her arm braces, Teela tries once again to talk the villain down. She reminds the Cosmic Freight Train that it was Evil Lyn who saved Eternia and brought the magic back. The Cosmic Freight Train replies that it meant nothing. It never did. It was the parasitic Skeletor who had controlled her actions while sitting inside her scepter. Teela tells her that she made choices and was a changed woman. The Cosmic Freight Train punches Teela in the face and sends her flying backwards. The Cosmic Freight Train traps Teela in tendrils. Teela transforms into a bird and frees herself from the tendrils. The Cosmic Freight Train then creates a cosmic bird cage to trap Teela. The cage electrocutes Teela in her bird form before disappearing. Teela turns back into her human self and falls to the ground. The Cosmic Freight Train then floats over to Teela and wraps her in magical chains. All this time, the Cosmic Freight Train talks about the suffering of the universe and concludes that there is no grand design. Meanwhile, we go back to He-Man. He-Man puts his sword behind his back. To Skeletor he says, "I won't fight you." Skeletor replies, "Give yourself to the dark side, boy. It is the only way you can save your friends. Yes, your thoughts betray you. Your feelings for them are strong, especially for sister. So, you have a twin sister, do you? Your feelings have now betrayed her too, boy. Hordak was wise to hide her from me. Now his failure is complete. Yeah, if you will not turn to the dark side, then perhaps she will." Sorry, I got carried away with another Star Wars reference. In case you have not noticed by now, I am a George Lucas Star Wars fan in addition to being a classic animation enthusiast. In reality, after He-Man says he won't fight, Skeletor replies that he is death itself and has come for He-Man. Skeletor then proceeds to surround both himself and He-Man in an electrical storm of darkness. He-Man runs to Skeletor, and the two lock hands in combat. The moment they lock in combat, the dark electrical storm disperses to reveal Castle Grayskull and the battle. The scene goes back to the Cosmic Freight Train and Teela. While Teela remains trapped in chains, the Cosmic Freight Train lets her hands glow and prepares to snap the entire universe from existence. When the Cosmic Freight Train darkens her hands, the sky above darkens as well. In a desperate burst of magic, Teela breaks free of her chains and fights the Cosmic Freight Train again. This time, Teela quickly twists her enemy's arm behind her back. Teela tells the Cosmic Freight Train that she was the one who teleported them to this place with the pool. With her magic, Teela shows her enemy the vision of the falling bird with the snake that we've seen before. With that magic, I guess she shows the cosmic freight train the other half of the vision we haven't seen. Basically, the bird comes out all glowing and is like, "Hey, look at me! I'm the brightest bird in all Eternia! Look at me glow! I'm a phoenix, yo! Whee!" What this vision even really means, I really don't know. But Kevin Smith thought this silly little vision was important. Anyway, Teela tries to use this vision to tell the Cosmic Freight Train that the universe is equal parts joy and suffering. After showing all this to the Cosmic Freight Train, Teela tells her that she has the power. And I guess this was the moment that was finally needed to show the Cosmic Freight Train the error of her ways and let go of her power. Because she powers down into Evil Lynn, who has some catching up to do in the hair growth department. The two of them then just sit by the pool, which is now flourishing with all sorts of flora. We return once more to He-Man and Skeletor. Still locked in combat, Skeletor demands for the sword. Skeletor declares that it shall continue on forever, with the two of them locked in battle. Shortly afterwards, He-Man breaks Skeletor's iron gloves. He then lifts Skeletor over his head before throwing him high in the sky and away from the battle. Skeletor disappears into a twinkle against the starlit sky. Immediately after He-Man vanquishes his arch-nemesis, the sky explodes above him. Teela exits the explosion with Evil Lynn in her arms. As Teela and Evil Lynn hit the ground, the explosion above Castle Grayskull disappears. Teela then shoots an energy beam from her hand toward the sky. She turns to He-Man and asks for his assistance. He-Man fires an energy beam from his sword. Together, the two energy beams create a new wormhole in the sky. The demons of Subternia are pulled toward this portal. As the demons fly up into the wormhole and vanish, He-Man and his friends look at Orko. He too is starting to get pulled into the portal. Teela wants to stop Orko from getting pulled back into Subternia, but Orko tells him it's okay. He's just happy he was able to say goodbye this time. Evil Lynn reaches up and grabs Orko, telling him he won't go back to Subternia this time. And so Orko stays with them. Wait, what? So Evil Lynn just has the power to stop dead people from going back to Subternia just by touching them? Just how? Don't know. Of course, this has big implications. Evil Lynn will be in high demand now. All any mortally wounded person has to do is touch her, and he won't have to die. She touched me. Oh, she touched me, and oh, the joy that floods my soul. As a side note, we don't see Fisto and Clampchamp at this part either. I guess He-Man and Teela didn't think quickly enough to get Evil Lynn to touch them either. Anyway, the demons all float out of sight and the portal closes behind them. Naturally, all the Eternians cheer. Okay, let's look at this shot for a moment. I could be wrong, but I don't see any dead bodies on the ground. None whatsoever. What kind of battle was this? There should be a bunch of dead Eternians laying around. There should be cheering once the battle is over, sure. Shortly followed by sorrow and seeing all the dead friends and loved ones on the ground. Why don't we see any dead people? Did they all just fight that well against the demons? Are the demons that incompetent at killing people? Or was Kevin Smith trying to avoid traumatizing kids? Because if he was, that is a poor excuse. He certainly hasn't shied away from blood before in this show. Not to mention there was that scene of intimacy upon the throne of Grayskull between Skeletor and Evil Lynn, but I digress. Anyway, during the celebration, Audra the Science Woman hugs Teela. He-Man then draws out his sword, points it at the sky, and declares, "Let the power return." His transformation back into Prince Adam is used as a scene transition. We now find ourselves back at King Randor's castle. In the town square, we see a statue in He-Man's honor. I'm sure in a few hundred years, some social justice weirdos will show up and try to tear down the statue in the name of racial equality. But it is a nice homage to He-Man all the same. Inside the castle, Duncan makes a second attempt at passing on the mantle of Man-at-Arms. This time it is Audra the Science Woman who has made Man-at-Arms. Or rather, should I say, Woman-at-Arms?
You are doing grand. Jar Jar bringing Usin and the Naboo together. So, we shall make you Bombad General.
Anyway, after Audra the Science Woman is appointed as the Woman-at-Arms, Duncan hugs Tila. King Randor and Queen Marlena hug Adam. Later that night, fireworks are going off again. Tila is looking out at Eternia. Prince Adam joins her. He asks if she's ready to keep these secrets of Grayskull with him. She tells him that she's going to share these secrets, presumably with the world. Prince Adam points out that she's the first sorceress who can leave Grayskull in human form, and she's great in a fight. He then suggests that maybe she doesn't need him anymore. Tila then bumps his shoulder and tells him that the sorceress will always need a champion. She also tells him that he goes where she goes. Tila blushes as she declares this, and Prince Adam blushes with her while holding her hand. Tila states that she's finally happy now that she knows who He-Man is, and Prince Adam declares that he is Adam, Prince of Eternia. Tila asks that Adam is her hero. Okay, I'll give you this one, Kevin Smith. For all the woke screw-ups you made and for all the poor writing decisions you made, at least you got this part right. Thank you for affirming the romance between He-Man and Tila that we knew was there before you came along. It does not excuse or forgive the earlier debaucheries you made, and I still would not recommend this show to my viewers, but I can appreciate this moment in isolation. Again, Kevin Smith, thank you for this moment. We go to the place where I think Orko may have originally come from, though I could be wrong about that. Evil Lynn arrives by magic. Her butch haircut is gone too, and I'm quite content to call her Evil Lynn again. That said, why isn't she locked up in prison? Just because Tila managed to talk her down does not excuse Evil Lynn of her crimes. In fact, she committed the biggest and the most hilariously impossible crime of all. She destroyed Preternia, heaven itself. I mean, surely the person who destroys heaven gets an eternal life sentence, right? Right? Who knows at this point? Anyway, Evil Lynn walks away and leaves her scepter behind. The scene changes to the final one of the show. We find ourselves back in Subternia. In one of the many dank, dark dungeons of damned souls, we see Fisto and Clampchamp. Fisto looks over at Clampchamp and says, "How come we didn't go to Eternia when all those demons did? And where did Orko go anyway? Did he finally go to Preternia?" To which Clampchamp replies, "Forget that. Preternia's gone, man. I'd rather be here than be obliterated from existence." And no, that didn't happen. The actual final scene of the show is a little more intriguing than that. We go to Snake Mountain. Skeletor is dealing punishment among the teched-up druids that have taken residence in his fortress. His former minions told him that the Motherboard made them rebel against him. Skeletor mocks the mechanical eagle that the druids worship. "This idol is your master now?" he asks. Skeletor then attempts to destroy the idol with his magic. The idol causes Skeletor's fire attack to dissipate before it can be harmed. The idol transforms into a mechanical woman. The teched-up druids grab Skeletor and bring him before her. The mechanical woman then jabs Skeletor with needles. Skeletor screams as he is turned into a teched-up druid himself. The mechanical woman then projects the insignia of Hordak above her head. This doubtlessly implies that if there is any continuation of Masters of the Universe Revelation, Hordak will be involved. And where Hordak is involved, She-Ra might appear too. Just hopefully not that awful Tumblr scribbled DreamWorks She-Ra. The proper She-Ra would be preferable this time. And that, dear viewers, is the end of part 2 of Masters of the Universe Revelation. What are my overall thoughts? I shall begin by pointing out the headlines wherein this show is being compared to The Last Jedi. While this is a fair comparison, and I did it myself when reviewing Part 1, I don't think it shows the entire picture. Revelation Part 1 is certainly The Last Jedi of He-Man. However, I would venture to say that Revelation Part 2 is the Rise of Skywalker of He-Man. Only in a weird way, Revelation Part 2 is better than The Rise of Skywalker. Not much better, mind you, but better. And that's saying something, given I haven't seen The Rise of Skywalker and don't plan to as long as I live. Here's the thing. Once Jake Skywalker died in The Last Jedi, he didn't get a second chance to be the hero again in The Rise of Skywalker. This is the biggest and actually the best deviation between He-Man and Jake Skywalker. Yes, He-Man died in Part 1 and got impaled at the end of Part 1. And yes, Prince Adam was still a klutz in Part 2. But when he got the sword, He-Man got to be He-Man and was able to be the hero. Perhaps not the main hero, but he wasn't a total klutz at the end of the show. Sadly, Jake Skywalker didn't get that same chance to redeem himself back to Luke Skywalker. Furthermore, according to rumors, it was feared that King Randor would die, which would necessitate Prince Adam to replace his father and hand the sword to someone else. At the time, that someone else was speculated to be Audra the Science Woman. In other words, Audra the Science Woman was speculated to be the Rey of this show, taking He-Man's name, sword, cringer, etc. before declaring that she was He-Man Skywalker. Fortunately, we all dodged a bullet. As you saw, Randor survived and remained the king. Prince Adam remains as He-Man, and Audra wound up replacing Man-at-Arms instead. Perhaps not the best scenario, given that Audra had no prior military experience before the show and didn't go through the proper promotion channels through the ranks by merit, but I'll take that over her taking He-Man's sword. In other rumors, it was speculated that Teela was going to wind up with Audra the Science Woman. It makes sense given what was going on in Part 1. Thankfully, in the end, Teela winds up with He-Man. According to previous canon, He-Man and Teela are supposed to get married, so I am thankful that Kevin Smith did stick with that. Though come on, Kevin! Fooling people on topics like this is not the way to go. And then the part where the cosmic freight train destroys heaven. What can I say that I haven't said already? That part of the show was pure satirical trash. To this day, I'm not sure if Teela and He-Man were able to fix Preternia or not when they sent the demons back to Subternia. That part of heaven getting destroyed will probably be the highlight of cinematic lunacy. Of course, the animation was beautiful. It is rare these days to find animation that comes even close to the quality of a classic Disney film or a Don Bluth film. All we get are Pixar, anime, and Tumblr scribbles. Animation like this, however, is a breath of fresh air. As long as the story is good, of course. So, in the end, Part 1 is complete wokeness, and Part 2 pulls some crazy shenanigans to undo a big chunk of that wokeness, though it destroys heaven in the process. At this point, if the show does continue along the Motherboard and Hordak storyline, I'll probably be less jaded and perhaps enjoy it more, provided that wokeness is kept to a minimum, preferably to a 0 going forward. Who knows? Maybe we'll get a better She-Ra than what DreamWorks pulled. At least she should be competently animated and not look like some 16-year-old girly boy. And on a final note, to echo what I said at the opening of the first video regarding this show being released during the holidays, I will say that I would rather watch this trash again over the holidays than Seth Rogen's horrible excuse of a Rankin Bass Christmas parody. With stuff like these horrible cinematic nightmares, it is easy to lose your faith in humanity these days. As I close this review, I want to invite you to stay on this video when I fade to black. You will be taken to Rajon the Dragon in the Burn Zone as he delivers his verdict and justice upon Masters of the Universe Revelation. I hope you enjoyed my take on this show. If you liked this video and wish to see more like it, please hit the thumbs up, share the video, and subscribe to this channel. Also, be sure to check out Clownfish TV. If it wasn't for them, I would not have been aware of the rumors I was just addressing at the end of this video. Not to mention that Neon and Geeky Sparkles were the ones who helped shed light on Kevin Smith's dark deeds in the first place via their insider sources. Finally, I would like to give a shout out to my anonymous friend. If it wasn't for him sharing his Netflix account with the animation commentator, this commentary would not happen. Now, my friends, go forth, be gracious to everyone, and may God bless you. Welcome to the Bird Zone. I am Razor, Lord Protector of all dragons and Sir Persevere's battlefield companion. I have been requested by Sir Persevere to give my brief thought on this show. As you have seen, Part 1 of Masters of the Universe Revelation is infected with the evil ideology of wokeness, an ideology that promotes hatred and bigotry against your fellow man. While Part 2 somewhat backtracks on those decisions, it performs the biggest crime of all. It ludicrously believes that mere mortals have the power to destroy heaven. I shall burn this abomination to ash. Be gone, and torment humanity no longer. Thank you for visiting my bird zone while I dealt the justice we all desperately needed. Now go forth, have courage in the face of evil, and may the cleansing fires of righteousness guide your way.